to seeing something like this, it was unbelievable for me. I saw it with my own eyes, and one bullet beside me like this went to the Qibla, and the other one down the member. And then somebody shouted, shooting.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this special Unscripted podcast episode. We have streaming in all the way from New Zealand, mashallah, we have Imam Gamal Fawda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Sheikh Gamal.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Alhamdulillah, very well. So just for the brothers and sisters watching at home, Sheikh Gamal is currently an Imam at Masjid An-Nur in Christchurch, New Zealand. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheikh Jamal, you were also the Imam during the horrific attack a year ago in that masjid. So we're very grateful for you to come on to the podcast today to share your story and some of your lessons. Many brothers and sisters might have been watching you give different interviews and share your story online. But if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear from your perspective, where were you during the attack, and how did you feel, and what were you thinking was happening during the actual attack?
Yeah, as you probably mentioned, that it's a horrific thing to talk about, very bad memory for me to talk about what happened, and it is something horrific. Where you can see the people that you know closely, and many of them are my close friends. You watch them falling and going forever. So that was very hard time for me, and it is something that normally now I tend not to talk about, but because you wanted this, and also the audience wanted this. So I'm happy to share some of those stories today or tonight. I was giving the speech on Friday, the normal Friday prayer, and the prayer starts at 1:30. And the title of my khutbah, I put it on my Facebook, and I said, the title of my khutbah is وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. I just started as normal, 1:30, and start with the introduction of the khutbah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and say salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then I introduced my topic in Arabic. Normally I speak like 4 or 5 minutes in Arabic introduction, and about the cooperation on doing good. So, and then when I started the English, mainly my speech is in English. So I heard the crack, in the corridor, and as you know, probably on your area as well, you have election in the mosques and the stuff. So I thought that it was some of the people who are, against each other in the election. They made like fireworks, and I saw the fireworks in the corridor, and I couldn't believe it. As you know, that New Zealand is one of the safest places in the world. And I lived 17 years in New Zealand before 15th of March as Imam, and to seeing something like this, it was unbelievable for me. I saw it with my own eyes, and one bullet beside me like this went to the Qibla, and the other one down the member. And then somebody shouted, shooting. It was very shocking for me to see something like this, where people on top of each other are running, in the corridor coming to the mosque. Because as we have seen the video or the photos, the door of the mosque is on the back, So we sit with our back towards the door, facing the Qibla, other side. And then, so all the people from the corridor coming to the main hall on top of each other. And then one person from Algeria shouted, shooting, and he broke the window and he jumped. Then I tucked down in the member, and then you can hear like as if 5 people were shooting, because the echo of the speaker, we have speakers in all the rooms of the mosque.
Yes.
And the echo of the dome as well. Inside the main hall, there is a big dome, and the echo tells you that probably 5 or 6 people are shooting, because you can see shooting everywhere. And I did not look at this man in that stage until he stopped. And when he stopped, I looked through the hole and I saw him, a person very protected, fully protected, and army uniform and helmet, and around his neck and his arms and his knees as well. And he was changing the magazine. Yeah, at that time, even after that, I thought that I should have, run towards him. But he was very fast. It took probably, I can say, probably 20 seconds or less than 20 seconds to change all the magazines, and then he started again. And you can hear from his, at that time, I didn't know that these songs and the music was coming from him. So after the attack, I came to know that he had this music and this very strange language as well. And I heard his footsteps going out the mosque, but I can still hear the shooting. I thought that he was by the door, but he was outside. And you can hear people saying Allahu Akbar and other people saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and stuff. And the very strange, also noise in the mosque from people who were dying. And all of a sudden again, he came back. And then at that time, he was very, very angry, I think. And I noted that he started shooting in the head. After this unnamed person left the mosque, again, somebody was also hiding somewhere. He said, I know you, Sheikh, come out. Couldn't come out. And it was very horrible. I hope that I didn't see after that, because when I was hiding, I was, very shocked, traumatized, yes, but the big shock came when I saw the people fall on the ground with their heads cut open into pieces. It's a very horrible thing to talk about. And then somebody came from outside and he said that if he was shouting, if anybody's still alive, come out. And those people who were still alive and hiding here or there, they also came out jumping on the bodies of the shuhada. And by the door step, I found one of the rifles or the shotgun with the white writings on it. While I was talking to the person, I said, did he lift this one? Is it any bullets there? Or I said, don't touch it. Let's go out quickly. And then I saw the police by the gate. And the police said, everyone out. They were shouting, everyone out. And outside the mosque. And at that time, I I stopped talking for like 40 minutes. Couldn't talk. I wanted to talk. I can see and I can, when people talk to me, I hear them, but I wanted to talk, but I couldn't talk. And then my wife came and she came running to the mosque and she saw me standing there. And then the police and the medical team came. They started to get into the mosque, and the police guarded us to the hospital very close by. It takes 10 minutes walk in the Hagley Park. So we walked to the hospital, and I talked to the media at that time, but I forgot that I talked to the media. They showed me later on. And I talked to my brother, and also I forgot that I talked to him. But he showed me that, yes, you called me, and he sent me a screenshot of I called him, and but I forgot it. And I forgot like many things in front of the mosque, where this lady, I saw a person who was sitting beside a lady, and he took off his jacket and put the jacket on her head. And he wanted to move it a little bit, but her head was cracked open. So he pushed her back because he was pulling her like this to move her from the road, but she lifted her head. So he put her back and joined her head again. And her husband also said, "Imam, this is my wife." And he was crying, and I saw the other lady as well, Farid's wife. She was also killed in a driveway next door to the mosque. Yeah.
I'm very grateful. We're very grateful for you sharing your recollections. I was in two minds whether or not to ask, because I know that it will bring a lot of these emotions back, and but on the other hand, many people, I think it's a very valuable lesson for people to actually hear what exactly happened, and to keep that memory alive of these shuhada, inshallah. May Allah take them as shuhada. Surely as Ameen.
To them. Yeah. We walked to the hospital, and in there, from my memory, because I saw many people, those who were injured and those who were killed. I don't really know who was killed and who was injured, but I just looked, skimmed all of them like this. So in my own calculation, I thought that around 300 people. So in the hospital, lots of people, all the families, all the children and the families, the wives, they came to the hospital, probably more than 500, 600, 700 people in one place.
I can imagine.
And I know the minister here. She is a member of parliament in the area of the mosque, and she called me, and then also she was with the prime minister, and the prime minister talked to me, and she said, "What do the community needs?" And then at that moment, I was only thinking of the small things. I didn't know that there was a video, there was live streaming. I didn't know that the whole world actually heard and watched this big war. I call it a war. I thought that it's something inside New Zealand. I didn't know that it will go big around the world. And I was thinking about the costs for the graves. And I was calculating in my head, oh, goodness me, 500,000. And so the prime minister said that tomorrow morning I will be there, and she actually came. And we spent that night, of course, I walked from the mosque to the hospital without shoes, and stayed in the hospital the whole night. we were trying to figure out who was shaheed and who was injured. And it was very hard to decide because of the list. The names are repeated, and the family name comes first, and then the first name comes last, and then got mixed up. More than 250 names came, and we had to go through this with the police and other senior members of the community to decide who was shaheed and who was injured. And then we decided probably around 2-3 o'clock in the morning next day that we need to release the names of those who are injured first, because we're not sure of the others. And this also would make it easy for the people if the name of your relatives are not there, so they can prepare themselves for something else. So it's like it comes from inside that the person already died. But people were really shocked and they couldn't believe it. So, and the police also.
What do you mean it comes from inside?
That means that the person, he need to convince himself that, okay, my father is dead, rather than somebody else telling you that he is dead. So when the name is not in the injured list, that means that, and you're calling the phone and he's not answering, and he never came back, just to prepare a psychological preparation for them, because it was very hard for them to accept. Then I had to call the names. This is one of the hardest time in my life, also to call the names of those people who were injured. And then we worked on the rest as well for the next day, Saturday. We do not want to say that the person is dead and then they find out that he's not, We wanted to prepare the community for something. So the next day, the next night, Sunday night, it was also probably around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, we released the list of the shuhada, and I also had to call all those names. It's one of the hardest time as well in my life to read the names of the friends, the people I know very well. Even I met them before the prayer, and I talked to them, and now they are gone. So it was really very hard.
Naturally, it's going to be, it's understandable completely. And many Muslims around the world and even non-Muslims were watching the community there in Christchurch, the Muslim community. And they had a sense of not just sympathy, but a respect and an awe in the way that the Muslim community, at least from our perspective, responded, and the solidarity that they had with one another. And I'm just wondering, how did you personally, because as an imam, you also have a pastoral role, and people come to you with sometimes counseling issues, mental health issues. How did you ensure that you yourself and your community, they receive the support, kind of internal support? So from outside, of course, it's one thing what people are showing displays of unity, solidarity. How did you and the community make sure that you dealt with the trauma in a way which is healthy for yourselves and which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Actually, the next day, the Prime Minister came, and she insisted to come and meet people. And she talked to the crowd of people. All the people were there. And the government had to come up with a policy from the immigration so that the relatives can come, relatives of those people. So they came up with very quick policy to help people to come to New Zealand from overseas, all over the world. And overnight, people came. And the Prime Minister promised also lots of financial support and the psychological support for the families and for children. And lots of people came from overseas and all New Zealand and Australia. Christchurch was full. I met like thousands and thousands of people on that day, Saturday, all of Saturday and Sunday and the whole week. And the biggest thing was for the families. They wanted to bury their loved ones quickly. And that was very hard because it's a crime. And the mosque was a crime scene. And the people left their wallets, their car keys, house keys, the bank cards in the mosque. And they had the children at school, and they were locked at school until 9 o'clock at night. And the mothers, they can't enter the house. They don't have cars. People didn't eat. People can't sleep. People can't go home. And they didn't even eat anything. Even we forgot the prayer until Isha on Saturday night. We realized that we didn't pray. And so the restaurants in the city and the hotels opened for free for the Muslim community. And they gave food, they gave accommodation. Even the guests who came from Australia, from Auckland, from all the New Zealand cities, they came for support. They also were offered free accommodation in hotels and even in houses. And the police everywhere, and with me, people from the government, and the whole country, stood beside us. And we know that this person was not from New Zealand. And all this support, brought us back, to come and stand. And I was very traumatized, and I had to stand and talk to the media for the first time in my life. And lots of pressure from all the media here and there, everywhere. And the support that I had been given from one of my friends, she's the MP and minister as well. She gave me lots of support in terms of media experience and what to say and how to say it. All this media training. So I was able to actually handle the media by myself because we didn't have any person in the community. All people also are traumatized. And the head office of the FIANZ, which is the Federation of Islamic Associations of New Zealand, that runs or supports 7 mosques in New Zealand. They came also as well to support with their team of making ghusl and preparing for the funeral, and the government paid for everything and paid even for the tickets for families to come from overseas and a good visa overnight. And so those close family members, when they came, to support the widows and the children, very quick response. So now we are waiting for the bodies to be released, and the people, how can we bury 51 people, in the same time? And how can we prepare all of them in the same time? And we can dig all the graves in the same time? Where are we going to wash them? How are we going to get the shroud? So for the whole week, it took us for like 4 days before the first person was buried. And I worked with the community leaders as well to convince people for mass burial, because the community is very, traumatized, very tired. How can we, if anybody is ready, then we will go to the graveyard and come back, and then go again and come back and go again.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, this logic. So we had to try to convince people for mass burial, which was on the next Friday.
Yeah.
And 35 people accepted. Some people went overseas, to Saudi Arabia, to Pakistan, to Bangladesh, but majority 35 people were buried on Friday, the next Friday.
So the next Friday, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, you yourself gave the khutbah. Did
Yes.
you it was in the park, wasn't it?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it was bigger than ever before, I heard, and there was media there, a lot of people there. It was one of those things that a lot of people were sharing the news of that to show that, يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. They tried to extinguish the light of Allah, but the next khutbah was even bigger, and the whole world was watching. And
actually, that is New Zealand. The support that we had, and even people in the street, they were wearing a headscarf. I couldn't walk in the street like this because I spent like the whole week with the police. We had a place under the hospital, working with the police and all the government agencies, immigration and work and income, IRD, and everyone, to make things easier. So if I walk on the street, people will recognize me, and they will hug me and say sorry for what happened, and we give you support, and the community, we are one, and the stuff. And I saw a policeman who was wearing a headscarf, showing that he is supporting the Muslim community. And I said, the headscarf is only for women. He said, I don't care, as long as I try to show support to the community, So flowers everywhere. And on that Friday, when I stood in Hagley Park, I saw people, like, not sure if 20,000 people, and with big screens and the media everywhere. And it was really big day for us in New Zealand to show that we are all against hate, and we will never let this person win. So that was the theme on that day. So even the Azan and everywhere in New Zealand, all cities, live.
Oh yeah, I remember even Parliament.
New Zealand. Yeah, Parliament and the universities, schools, everything stopped in New Zealand for that day to show solidarity for the Muslim community.
How did that make you feel?
It was really good to see all this. This is how we set the ground for peace, so that everyone comes together. We will not let hate, divide us. And it was very important for me also to send the message of the Muslim and to show the true message of Islam, that ISIS, 2% of or less than 2% of the Muslim, they do not represent Islam. This is not Islam. What they are promoting is not Islam. Islam is the true religion, the true faith, that the head of this faith, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Allah said about him that وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So the Prophet is a mercy for all the world. And if the world live Islam, the true Islam, they will live the true religion of all prophets, Jesus Christ, Moses, Abraham, Noah, all the prophets called for this same thing, believing in the God who created all of us. And we have to share the planet together in peace. People of faith and no faith should stand together, regardless of their color, religion, and ethnic backgrounds. They should live together and share the planet Earth in peace together. And we do not want to eliminate differences, but we want to celebrate our differences together as people. You and me and he and him and her, we are people. We are the same family. As the Quran said, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى. We're all created from, one male and female, Adam and Eve. So we are brothers and sisters. And the Quran never asks people to be forced to believe in it. The Quran says, لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينٍ. The Quran says, لَا إِكْرَاهَ فِي الدِّينِ. The Quran says, وَإِنَّ أَوْ إِيَّاكُمْ لَعَلَى هُدًى أَوْ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. You may be right, I may be wrong. We had to share our faith together, talk about this together, go through it, understand something about each other every day, so that we can learn about each other. لِتَعَارَفُوا. The Quran says, لِتَعَارَفُوا. So that we can learn things about each other and accept each other. Not only tolerate, but also to accept and understand and appreciate, and say that whatever I don't have, somebody else has. So this is the message of the Quran. That was my message.
That was the topic of your khutbah.
Yeah. Graduated from Al-Azhar to learn that we have to accept everyone, and my opinion could be right, but may be wrong. And your opinion is wrong, but may be right. This is what we learn from the Islamic jurisprudence.
Statement of Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah.
Yeah. So that was the message that I want to send across, and it worked. And as I said, that ISIS are not the face of Islam. These people do not represent us, do not represent Islam. And we want people to learn about Islam from their true source, not from what they hear in the media. The media sometimes, or most of the time, they contribute to the disunity. They create disunity. Some of the media outlets, they really need to.
Do you think the media was partly responsible for creating the conditions for the attacker to be?
Media played a big part, but not the whole thing. Lots of also politicians. I call them irresponsible politicians, and they contribute, to the same thing, Islamophobia, and many other things. So, but now, after our mosque terror attack, I said that this is after September 11. The Muslims were used as the people before, followers of other faiths like the Jews also were discriminated against, and they were killed. And now it's another religion. So what is going to happen tomorrow? It's going to be someone else. So let to us stop the hate speech and learn about peace. Peace can be learned. So we need to learn about peace.
What was your what was the reaction and the response to your khutbah that week? Did you, over the next few weeks and months, did you Did you see? I mean, we heard here from thousands of miles away, you know, that many people are becoming more interested in Islam in New Zealand. Some people, you know, became Muslim, non-Muslims became Muslim, and so forth. What was your personal reaction in terms of what you came across?
Yeah, actually, the response was really good, and it was really successful. And we wanted people to see the real face of Islam and Muslim. And we managed to do it in New Zealand. And we set the scene, you know, for peace and for the love to grow. And because the bond between, you know, I'm talking about my experience and so many people in the Muslim community as well.
Mm-hmm.
The bond between New Zealanders and the Muslim community and the New Zealand is so strong. Because, you know, when you come from countries where, you know, the human rights is very less, all the rights. So when you come to a place where you get respected,
mm-hmm.
you live like a fully human being, then this relationship starts from the first day. So it says, you know, even we tell each other that New Zealand is like magnetic. Once you enter New Zealand, you don't want to leave, because it is really beautiful people, and I called them once the innocent babies.
Mm.
So it's really part of paradise. And before 15th of March, that was the you know, the feeling. Saying that, I'm not saying that there is no racial discrimination in New Zealand. New Zealand is not paradise, but it is part of paradise, I think. But we need to, there are lots of things we need to do together as well, because some people out there as well, still they have these misconceptions about the people who are different, or they think they are different to them in color or in faith. And this our role to actually to be open and to work with especially with the people in authority, with the government, with the universities, with the schools, to be part actually of the actual community. And the mosques should be open, and the Muslims should also be open to the society, where they can take the good things and use the opportunity of democracy to be able to be part of decision making, not to distance ourselves from the community. We have to be part of the community. We are part of the community. So we need to be part of the decision making and to work and to be open. We don't have anything to hide. So why shouldn't we open our hearts, our mosques, our doors to the friends who are around us, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, of any religion, so that we can work together for the welfare of everyone. So this, from my experience, I came to know that part of our role is to be more open and to contribute towards the welfare of the society and be part of the real part of the society, not to live like in a small village in a big country. We have to do and
get involved in society, be active in all different levels, from decision making, even government, local decision making. That sounds like a good vision for the Muslims and Islam in New Zealand, and it's something that many countries where Muslims are a minority, it sounds like a good vision for Muslims in those areas, you know, where there's a genuine autonomous and genuine independent Muslim presence where we're trying to influence policies and economics and politics and all these different spheres in a good way, in order for the benefit of the whole society. But in order to do that, we have to overcome some of these obstacles, right? I mean, you mentioned, for example, the media or some irresponsible politicians. Not New Zealand, not so much, but Australia, just around the corner from you guys, it does tend to have a worse reputation in terms of the political kind of spectrum, the sometimes overt racism and xenophobia that we see, on some popular kind of TV programs from, and kind of the spectrum of expressible opinion, which is considered normal, in Australia. Do you find Australia is a bit more irresponsible or a bit more kind of Islamophobic and racist than New Zealand? And how do you what's your message for your brothers and sisters just across the way?
The Muslim community in Australia is stronger than the Muslim community in New Zealand. And I think they are playing also a role in building bridges between the Muslim and the rest of the community. And this is very important, to be part of the community. And, learning learning the language, speaking the language of the majority of the people in the, so speaking English, learning the language and the culture. So for me, part of the thing that I wanted also the imams to do overseas, also to study something in your country and learn the language. So I studied College of Education, and I studied the history of Maori in New Zealand and the history of education.
Was the Maori? So the Maori is, just for our viewers, the indigenous population there.
Yes. So learning about the culture and even understanding the mentality of the people, how they think. This is very important for any imam, so that you understand the culture and the language, and you can talk from the same. You can deal with people, and understand what they say and what they want, and you become closer to the community and feel for them, and be part of the real part of the community, not to isolate ourselves. I think isolation is one of the things that also contribute towards Islamophobia. So we need to be more open and be more connected, build the bridges between the community. The mosque is not something like mysterious for the community.
We all have to do our part, For in the masjid, we have to make it on a local level, your neighbors, your friends, colleagues, and so forth, but also on a structural level, campaigning for changes in the laws that may be discriminatory or systems that may be, Islamophobic or racist. We all have a part to play, alhamdulillah. And your message to Imam is very, very important one.
Yeah, a part of this is also I actually stood for community board, which is a local government in the city council, and I got elected. And this shows that the majority of the people of New Zealand are not, they are very friendly.
Yeah.
And they don't mind, they can choose even choosing an imam to in politics. And it's also something really important. We need to learn this. This is very important. We connect with the community and in actual life, not to come and talk about, this is what Islam is and stuff. We have to, do something together, do community gardens. We do community gardens. Do, lots of things the universities, the schools can do as well.
التعاون على البر والتقوى.
Yeah, yes, yeah. This is the title of the khutbah that I wanted to actually. Yeah. Still, I haven't given that khutbah until today. So,
may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you more barakah in all the work that you and the brothers and sisters there are doing. I'm conscious of the time. It's very late there in New Zealand, so for me I just woke up, but for you guys it's bedtime now, so I'll let you go, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for all your help. Thank you very much for joining us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again strengthen you all and make you very successful in your da'wah and your activism, very successful there. Jazakumullah khairan.
Sheikh
Gamal.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you watching at home. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. As you could have noticed, I was very silent during that whole podcast because the Sheikh had many gems to share. Jazahullahu khaira. But if you like this podcast, give it a like and a share. Remember to tap the thumbs up until it turns blue. Get involved in the comments as well. What did you agree with, disagree with? What did you want to hear more about, less about? And yeah, head over to Islam Trinity to have more of this good stuff. Until then, next time, this is your host Salman Butt on behalf of the Islam Trinity team. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Unscripted.